If you're sitting there wondering, is this even a good time to start investing? Then honestly, don't do it. Not yet. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't invest at all, but before you even begin, there's a few necessary foundations to build. If you're still figuring things out at the start, this is the part that actually matters. I hope this video helps you slow down a little and build this properly. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Let's go. You've probably heard this before. Time in the market is better than timing the market. And it's true. But I think what people don't talk about enough is this. If you started investing without building a proper foundation, you might not even stay in the market long enough for that to matter. Because when things get tough, and they definitely will, if you don't have enough cash or you're not mentally prepared for it, you end up selling your investments at the worst possible time. Not because your strategy is wrong, but because your foundation wasn't strong enough to actually support it. But this doesn't just apply to long-term investing. If you're thinking about trading, what I'm about to share will still matter as well. So before I think about growing my money, I had to make sure I could actually protect it first. And for me, that started with something very simple: having readily available cash. I know what you're thinking. Inflation eats away at idle cash. But instead of seeing it that way, I saw it as options. Having money that's accessible means that if I'm in a job that's draining me mentally or emotionally, I have the option to walk away because I have this amount of cash to rely on before finding my next job. When my investments go through the usual ups and downs, I don't have to panic and sell. I could give it time for it to recover. And even in life, it gives me the space to slow down, to spend more time with the people that matter because they're never going to be this age again. So this cash isn't just sitting there doing nothing. It's what allows me to continue living my life now while still building wealth for future me. So the next question becomes, how much is actually enough? Most of the time, you'll hear people say 3 to 6 months of your income or 3 to 6 months of your expenses. And yes, that's a good starting point, but personally, I don't think there's a fixed number to it, because it really depends on your situation, your responsibilities, your lifestyle, and honestly, how much uncertainty you're comfortable with. So for me, this is how I thought about it. Even though I pay myself a monthly salary, this is still my business at the end of the day. So mentally, I treat myself like I'm self-employed, which means income isn't always guaranteed. I don't have dependents right now. I'm single and my parents are financially independent. And at this point, I don't have a mortgage yet, even though I know it's coming soon. So before the mortgage comes in, this is what my emergency funds look like. First, about 6 months of my living expenses, and that's around $3,000 a month, including some business expenses as well. So that comes up to $18,000. I also set aside for my health insurance about $6,100 a year, and I buffer that for 2 years. On top of that, just a bit extra for peace of mind. So all in, my emergency fund is roughly around $40,000. But once mortgage comes into the picture, this number is going to change again, because at that point, I don't want to just cover my daily expenses. I want to make sure that if ever something happens, I can continue living my life and keep up with mortgage payments for a few months maybe. But most importantly, I just don't want to touch my investments. And if you're wondering how do I even know all of these numbers so clearly, it's because I've been tracking my money for a really long time. More than a decade now. I started very simply using Excel sheets and an app called Wallet by Budget Bakers. Nothing fancy, but over time, I just wanted one place to do everything on. And that's when I created my Notion Finance Tracker. So when I'm out spending money, I can just double tap the back of my iPhone and record an expense on the go. Then once a week, I'll just sit down, review my numbers, see how my budgets are doing, and check my savings rate just to be aware of where my money is going. And I know this is very tedious to do, but if you don't have visibility of your numbers, it's very hard to plan anything, much less save money. If you haven't started, it really doesn't have to be complicated. You can use an Excel sheet or use an app like Wallet by Budget Bakers. But if you want something, a template that is already there for you, my Notion Finance Tracker is linked down in the description box below. It is paid, but it's a one-time payment and Notion is free to use. Any updates I roll out to my own tracker that I'm using will be free as well. This video is not sponsored, but if you found it useful thus far, I'd appreciate if you could help me just scan this QR code over here or link down in the description box below. It will redirect you to Interactive Brokers, the investment platform I use to grow my S&P 500 portfolio with low fees and one of the best FX rates. If you think you're done after building emergency funds, hold on. There's one more layer I think a lot of us overlook when we are younger: health insurance. Don't skip out of this video. It is very important. It's very easy to think, I'm still young, what's the worst that can happen? I'm in good shape now. But life doesn't really work that way. For me, this became very real because growing up, I actually landed in the hospital a few times. At 15 and 16, I went for surgery to remove a lump that was resting on my hip. And even just about a year ago, I went into hospital because of my spine issue. Just overnight, I couldn't walk, and that really scared me a little. Anyway, I've seen firsthand how medical situations can come up even when you don't expect it. And I know some of you might be thinking, we already have MediShield Life, which is true, but if you actually look into the fine prints, that's really just a basic layer of coverage. So for me, hospitalization becomes the bare minimum. I don't want one unexpected event, a hospital bill that costs tens of thousands of dollars to wipe out everything that I've been building. And the thing about insurance is, the best time to sort it out is when you don't need it yet, when you're young and healthy. Because premiums are lower when you're younger, and more importantly, once you develop a condition, even if you want coverage later, there's a chance that the insurers might exclude you or not cover you at all. And if you're ever curious about how I insure myself, I've actually shared this on the channel before. You can just search for it. I go through what I'm covered for and the reasons behind it. I've not made any changes since, so that's the most updated insurance portfolio you'll see. And that's it, just these two things. I didn't rush into investing right away. I only started after I sorted all of this out. Because the way I see it, I'm not just trying to grow my money. I'm building a system that can actually protect it, almost like layering on a bulletproof vest piece by piece, so that if life happens, if one day I stop making money from social media, or if I need to take time off to take care of family, or I decided that I want to pivot and do something completely different from what I'm doing now, I'm not forced to touch my investments, and that is really the key. Investing only really works if you can stay invested long enough for compounding to do its thing. At least with my investing strategy. You guys can watch all of the videos on my channel regarding what's my investment portfolio. I've been very transparent about it. You don't need to rush into investing, but you do need to prepare yourself for it. That's all I have for today's video, and I hope it helps in one way or another. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comment section below. And as usual, have a great week ahead, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.